Let's get unreasonable. Unreasonable.
And hospitality.
Unreasonable.
Hospitality.
Let's get unreasonable.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Talk about, isn't that Olivia Newton-John?
Are you trying to sing instead of let's get physical, let's get unreasonable? Is that what you were trying to do? Okay, I got there. It took me a minute, but I got there. I'm picking up.
Or I could have sang like, let's get hospitable. Hospitable. That's not as fun as unreasonable. Unreasonable is more on brand for me.
Welcome to Beats Working, Winning the Game of Events, where we share stories and strategies to turn any event or life moment into something unforgettable.
Events are wild, and the people who work in them are some of the most resilient humans on Earth. If you know, you know.
So come with us behind the curtain for a look at their most memorable experiences.
As they say, the show must go on, so let's get on with the show.
The good news, folks, the good news is Libby is not going to quit her day job and become a musician or a singing artist.
Queen.
No.
Yeah,
but we would love to welcome you back to another episode of Beats Working, the show where we celebrate Libby not singing and the people who make events happen and the stories behind the show must go on moments. I'm Alysse Bryson.
And I'm Libby Sundgren. And today we are foregoing a human guest for a book guest. That's right. Another book review with Alysse and Libby. Today we are talking about Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara.
He's the former co-owner of 11 Madison Park in New York City, one of the top restaurants in the world. And he's got this game-changing idea. Service just gets you in the game, but hospitality, yeah, that's where the rubber hits the road, and that's how you win the game. And since we're all about winning the game of events here, Libby, this seemed like a no-brainer for us to dive into.
Totally. And we know so many people who are reading this book who have zero ties to the food and restaurant world other than being big fans. It is really a playbook that can help you create experiences, top-notch experiences for anybody, which is why it's perfect for us.
Yes, 100%. And if you've ever stressed over a run of show or managed a million moving parts at an event or tried to create moments that your guests will actually remember, this is the book for you.
Okay, we're going to break down 3 of his biggest ideas and how they translate to the event world. Budgeting for magic, empowering your team, and treating hospitality as your superpower. You know you've got it, people.
So whether you're setting tables or building stages, this book has something for you. Let's dive in. Okay, segment number 1, hospitality versus service. Service is doing your job, but hospitality is making people feel seen. What do you think about this part of the book?
I loved this part because it's actually part of my impact statement to really make people feel safe, secure, and happy. And if you don't know what an impact statement is, DM us, email us. I'll fill you in. You'll find your own and you will love it. And it will be a real compass for you. But I find in my own work that I also get more out of it when people feel seen. And a lot of time that's really what people want. If they're mad about something, they just want you to listen to them and really give them the space to vent. If they're, really excited about something, they want to feel like it's just as exciting for you and that it means just as much to you. Their swag is your swag.
I love that. And, I've been trying to practice over the last few months, even before we picked up this book, making people feel seen that probably don't normally feel seen. I don't know about you, but like when I go to the grocery store or to Starbucks or any retail store, I've also noticed this staying in hotels, how people just completely They don't acknowledge housekeeping. Like they don't say hi to them in the hallways, just ignoring people that are in the service industry. And so I've been really trying to make a point of saying hi to people, saying something nice about them or something funny about what they might be doing. If they have a name tag on, reading their name, hopefully I pronounce it right. Sometimes I struggle with that, but like just trying to make people feel seen. I used to do this thing where I would give 3 compliments a day to just total strangers, which was great when I wasn't working from home. But now, like, I hope there are no strangers in my home. So like, I don't have that practice anymore. Mm-hmm. But so when I do go out and run errands, I try to put it in there because making people feel seen, you can tell when it's made someone's day, Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you think about the favorite events you've ever been to or the favorite events you've ever hosted or helped plan, I mean, yes, you can nail the logistics. You can nail the timing. You can nail the scheduling. But if people don't feel good, if the emotion isn't there, which is where hospitality comes in, it can just be another event. So that's why it really is so powerful. And, we had a lot of guests last year that talked about this. Lisa Schulteis comes to mind because she talked a lot about designing an event around how you want people to feel, what you want them to be thinking about, how you want them to leave, how you want them to start, like where you want their energy to be at different parts during the event. And while, it is scientific, that kind of thinking, it's also very emotional, trying to plan those kinds of experiences for your guests.
Yeah, I love that. There's so many parts of the book that spoke to me and the language that we try to speak and practice at work P2P. I also loved kind of moving along the 95-5% rule for magic moments. Like 95% of the time, you want things to be flawless in their execution. You want everything to go right. We know they won't, but like that's the North Star that you're shooting for. But then to remember to at least 5% of the time have those foolish, unplanned, joyful, memorable moments. I think that's so important. And that reminded me of the party science guy that we talked to from Canada.
Our party scientist.
Yes. He's like, talk about joy. Like that guy exudes joy and just bringing these little things into an event that create those moments can be really well done if you put some intention behind it.
And it doesn't take, a lot of budget, even though you do need to budget for those kinds of joy moments in some way, but they can be things that don't require, a lot of money. I went to a wedding one time. This will shock nobody, but one of like my favorite parts that I thought was so cool is that they brought out blizzards for everyone as like this little dessert. And first of all, it brought me a lot of joy because I love blizzards, Dairy Queen blizzards. If you haven't had one, I'll happily buy you your first one, maybe even your second. But also it brought me joy because if you have ever gotten a Dairy Queen blizzard, you'll know that when they mix it, they have to turn it upside down before they give it to you. And so I was just thinking like, man, how many Dairy Queen employees had to flip their wrists like that to show you 200 mini blizzards, before they walked out the door. I also felt kind of bad for them because they probably had, what's that wrist thing? Tendonitis or something after that.
Carpal tunnel, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I remember that. This was way back in the day, the first time we were at an event where at the end of the night, they delivered Dick's cheeseburgers. I was like, smooth move. Like that was so smart. Because, a lot of times when you're at a fundraiser dinner, like you're not there for the meal. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, little things like that, they don't have to cost a lot, but they can make a really big impact. And so I was really glad that that got called out in the book.
And, something really fun that they talked about, which was such a great idea, is to assign a dream weaver. So someone on your team who's responsible for finding emotional moments and making them real. How would you do that at an event?
I really thought you were going to start singing Dreamweaver when you said that.
Dreamweaver.
Here we go. I knew it.
If you say it, I will sing it.
I like the idea of assigning someone the responsibility for finding the emotional moments and making them real. That also sounds like a lot of pressure, though. So I don't know that I would put it on one person. And I also there's a lot that you can do to try to make that happen. But sometimes the best moments, as you know, are the ones that happen organically or from a mistake or just something off the script, you know? Like most of this show.
Like pretty much everything that comes out of our mouths. Well, it's important. Think 95% execution, 5% magic, 95% rule, 5% magic.
Don't you think, I don't know, do you think the percentage of magic should have been a little higher? I don't know if I agree with 95.5.
I mean, I love a list. So I do.
I know. And we are talking like creme de la creme service. So I get it.
Everything happens right. And then the 5% doesn't mean it doesn't happen right. It just means everything is 95% is planned and prepared. And 5%, you got to just put a little zhuzh in it. Or just leave some room for some, how do they say it? Literally, how do they say it? What's that thing when you just on the fly do things?
Spontaneous?
Yeah, some spontaneity. Sure. I don't know. I still don't even know if that's the word I'm looking for, but
folks, it's going to be a long year. It's going to be a long year, but you're going to hang in with us because these are the moments that you tune in for, right?
Oh, dear Lord. Okay.
Okay, let's wrap up here talking about culture and team and ownership. I really like that part of the book. As you know, I am a big team player. I like to be the team cheerleader, which means I'm can be bossy, but I'm not always bossy, and definitely like to be in the trenches with my people. I don't usually want to ask people to do things that I wouldn't do myself. And so I love that they talked about that hospitality doesn't start at the front door. It actually starts in the break room. It actually starts with the people behind the scenes or behind the curtain.
Yeah. And one thing that they touched on, or that Will touched on, was empowering the front line. So really giving ownership to people to do more than just what their, role is. And that doesn't mean that everybody needs to be prepared for every single thing, but it's kind of like when we had the Better Events podcast gals on, and we talked about, as a planner, when you really trust the people you're working with and you really say to them, I trust you. If something goes wrong, I trust you to do it. I trust you to figure out what needs to happen. I'm going to tell this story again, and you guys are going to get so tired of it.
Oh, boy.
But when we were doing that big party in the airplane hangar, and the gal who was my contact with the catering company, she's my point person, which it was a big event. So there was more than just catering involved. There was a lot. But she told me we were out of something. So I just took your car and I went and got it. And I came back. The keys are in your purse. Don't worry. I was I will never forget that moment, because I was
remember her name?
Well, I do. It was Amanda Austin Haggerty.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, it's not a great story.
I was trying to keep her anonymous.
Oh, I see.
Likes to fly under the radar.
Shout out to you, Amanda.
Very fancy events, but I just will never forget that moment, because it was just such a powerful reminder that if you trust people and give them the agency, to really make decisions like that, it can change the way that your team works and the way that the event is presented to other people. People would have known that we had run out of cups if she hadn't felt like she could just go get more cups. I don't think it was necessarily cups. I think it was napkins and some other things. But nobody knew. They just kept going along thinking we had an endless supply of cups and napkins.
Well,
stay tuned, folks. I'll tell this story again in a couple months.
More episodes. We'll be talking about it again. This part reminded me a little bit of the book. I can't remember the name now, but Brad Brotherton actually got me to read it. It was basically the Disney way, and it was a book that like Disney employees used to get. I don't know if they still get or whatever, but it talks about like if you're a worker at Disney, just because something isn't your job doesn't mean it's not your job, right? It's kind of, if you see something, don't just say something, but like be empowered to go fix it. Like if you see a piece of garbage on the ground, like pick it up. If you see cups that need to be cleared, move them. Like and when you've got a whole team of people that are all like have that mindset, things can really run relatively smoothly. Like you just talked about at your favorite example of an event
that I'll use again. And he also talked about perfection leading to burnout, which is something that I think anyone listening, anyone who touches the event world in any way, I mean, who does anything, I think any human in the world can really relate to that. And yes, you and your team should absolutely strive to follow through with an event 137%. That's a throwback to CJ Gonzalez. So I'll link that episode in the show notes. But, how do you keep people from burning out? It still has to be a safe place where mistakes can get made. You're still a team. You're going to cover for each other. Or, you know what I mean? You're not going to like cover anything bad up. You're just going
to bury the bodies, right, Libby?
You're not, well, you will bury the bodies for some people, but you will just, you pick up the slack. It's like in any relationship. It's never 50-50, it's always going to be different percentages for different people.
Sure.
And you really, picking up somebody else's 10% means you're going to, in the future, be able to offload your 10% to somebody else.
Well, and I feel like a lot of the guests that we've had on this show in the last year, we've talked about how do you manage the burnout, because there's so much adrenaline that rolls in with events, right? Especially the big ones, the ones you've been planning forever, the ones with a lot of people or a lot of logistics. You feel great when everything goes smooth. You're stressed when things don't. So there's a lot of energy, spiritual, physical, mental, emotional energy that plays into the events world. So really learning how to unplug and recharge, put your oxygen mask on, since you want to keep talking about airplane hangars. Like these are things that are really important. And when you're obsessed with perfection, which a lot of high-end events are shooting for, right? That will get you to burn out even faster. So you gotta be doing your things.
You're going to extinguish that flame.
And your people.
Okay, let's land the plane.
Oh my gosh. We're still talking about planes. We're talking about unreasonable hospitality.
I know. But if we were on a plane with all event pros talking about this book and we're coming in for a landing, 3 favorite takeaways. What are our 3 favorite takeaways?
Well, you want my first takeaway was, because we just ended 2025 and now it's 2026. You know how Spotify does that recap? Like, here's your year. Well, first of all, you guys, thank you for putting us in the top 25% of video podcast watched on Spotify. Wow. That means you like us. But the other thing that the recap told you is what they're listening to. Okay, a lot of you are secret Swifties. Okay. I had no idea there were so many of you listening to Taylor Swift. That's okay. I'm not mad about it. I just thought that I just maybe wouldn't have gone there. But the other thing that we learned is that many of you are reading this book or have read this book. So we want to hear your takeaways too. So feel free to email us, slide into our DMs, because we definitely want to know what your thoughts were on the book, what you love, what did they get right? What did they maybe you need to write your own book. But you want us to talk about ours now?
We just went back up in the air, folks, and now we're coming in for a landing. Okay.
Dreamweaver.
Okay, design for emotion, not just attendance.
Yes.
Okay. Design
Agreed.
with their feelings in mind. Don't just think about butts and seats. How do we start the event, fill it with people, and end the event?
Yeah.
You know, the best ROI,
butts
it's
are
emotional
comfy.
loyalty.
That's right. That's right. Also, build systems that support surprise. Like everybody loves a little surprise and delight. And so you can make that happen and it can feel authentic and organic to your event. Just make sure to put some thinkers on that task so you plan for it.
Yeah. Build a playbook or protocol or, you know, your own systems and processes to track guest details or what they like, stories from the events, which I mean, this kind of stuff might be harder if you're not doing a similar type event or for a similar type of audience. But I think most people are kind of in, you know, niche groups, so you can estimate.
Yeah, I think so. And then I thought the big takeaway was leading with generosity. Being unreasonable isn't about being lavish, right? It's about being meaningful. It's about being intentional and giving guests things they didn't know they needed. And that could be as simple as a compliment, right? They'll never forget you because people are not going to remember what you say. I can guarantee you, you've probably forgotten half of the things we've already said in this episode, but they never forget how you make them feel.
That's true. Just like I'll never forget how Amanda made me feel when she took the Prius to go get those much needed supplies mid-event. Oh,
thanks, Amanda. This episode is dedicated to you.
I'm going to tag her in this one.
You should. All right. Well, what should our next book be? We're not announcing it here, but if you have a book you want us to read let me put some boundaries on this, folks. It's not just any book. We do love a good true crime story, but we really are looking to do book reviews on books that help us as industry event leaders. What books have been super meaningful to you? Let us know. You can email us at info@beatsworking.show.
I'm kind of thinking Leaders Eat Last. I don't know if anyone here has read that book. If you have, I want your insight. If you haven't, maybe read it with us.
Okay, let's just do that one. And then we'll do whatever else people tell us to do. Yeah. But let's start with that one.
Whatever you tell us to do, we'll read it. Yeah, we'll read it all.
Yeah. Reading, not other things, to be clear. Yeah.
Unless it's singing. And you know I'll sing.
Oh, gosh.
For you.
Okay. That's a wrap for this episode of Beats Working, winning the game of events and apparently singing. If you have an idea or you want to reach out, please email us at info@beatsworking.show. I feel like I just said that. Remember, folks, that every detail matters. Every moment counts. And no matter what, Libby,
the show must go on. See you next time.
Happy New Year, you guys.
Thanks for listening to Beats Working, winning the game of events, where we explore what it takes to make moments unforgettable.
If you're leaving with a little more inspiration, a little more perspective, and a big side ache from all of the laughing at our funny jokes, then we've done our job.
Beats Working is a Work P2P production. If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platforms.
Your support helps us keep the magic going.